All right, kids, let's do this. Welcome to Jan Hicks Creates. I am Jan, and if this is the first time you have viewed my channel, I'm sorry. This is going to be kind of a strange one. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I am premiering this just so I can have interaction with you guys as we're watching it together. But yeah, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I talk about all things cross stitch, some things knitting, not doing as much knitting, although I'm feeling the itch to pick up the needles. So as soon as I'm done with my Stitch Mania craziness, I'll be doing some knitting again. All things cross stitch. So today we are going to work through some fabric choices that I need to figure out how to fix a boo-boo I made. But first, before we get into that, let me show you the progress on my Stitch Mania piece from yesterday. But before we do that, because we can't start any of my videos without what has become apparently the infamous watch. It is 8:17 a.m., Thursday, June 6th. It is 75 degrees and partly cloudy. I posted a picture this morning on my Facebook page, Jan Hicks Creates, of my watch that said thunderstorms. And I told you that would be changed by the time we got to this point, right? There weren't really any thunderstorms. There might have been thunderstorms out in the Pacific somewhere, but it's gray and cloudy, but there aren't any thunderstorms, which is kind of a bummer because I love a good storm. All right, so yesterday, I worked on my Taj Mahal mandala from Chatelaine. Had this for years. I had a goal starting this year. You know, this year was my year of BAPs, big ass projects. I had a goal of finishing this year. That ain't happening. But I am making progress. I am working on it again, so that's okay. So I'm over here. I'm working on, or maybe I'm over here. I don't know, it's the same. Working on the bottom area of the Taj Mahal over here. I did take this off the Q-snaps. Mostly because of the comment that Ann Robbins made in the email exchange I had with her yesterday about somebody having the Q-snaps discolor her fabric after it had been on the Q-snaps for years. This has been on the Q-snaps for years, and I'm talking since like 2006. Off and on, I just changed it recently to get off of center, basically. Someone asked yesterday what type of frame I was using while I was doing the Stitch With Me video yesterday. Not frame, I think she meant stand, because I had it on the Q-snaps. I don't have a stand. I just had it basically propped up on the desk and propped up on my leg. And as I was working on it yesterday, I just had it propped up on my leg. You know, I mostly stitch in hand, so I don't own a stand. Okay, so I was working over here on the Taj, and you can see this area here. That is the reflecting pool in front of the Taj Mahal. And you know, it wasn't until before I actually hit the record button, I do a few like just practice, how's the lighting today type of thing. And it wasn't until I did that I realized this is the reflecting pool with the reflection. Now, I knew it was the reflecting pool, but it hadn't struck me that that was the reflection of this. Isn't that awesome? So, I got that done yesterday. I'm quite pleased with the progress yesterday. Taj Mahal mandala. That's all silks. Different variety, dinky dyes, NPI, water lilies. I will say, all those ones that I used yesterday are much softer and more pilly than Mrs. Seda silks. So you have to use shorter strands or they really start to abrade and look kind of crappy. So yeah, that was what I did yesterday. I also worked on Shades of Gold yesterday evening. I didn't bring that to show you. I'll save that for tomorrow's update. Tomorrow's Stitch With Me video. So, the real reason why we're here is this sweet, sweet, sweet little piece. Now this was a stitch along. Steph of Just Keep Stitching and Christine, Stitch All the Things, were two of the participants. I'm pretty sure Christine has finished hers. I think Steph might have finished hers as well. I don't remember who else was in it. There were a bunch of other people. I ran into this roadblock and there I stopped. So my roadblock is that I didn't cut my fabric big enough. Now looking at the pattern yesterday, the only stitch count they give on all the different, this was a 3-part mystery. The only stitch count they did was for the total piece. How in the world? I wouldn't have counted out, the first piece and done the stitch count on that. How in the world did I get it wrong? So in my calculator, I put in different numbers. I put that in and worked with different, over 1, over 2. This is a 32 count. And turns out what I did was I forgot to put the extra 2 or 3 inches in for the border. So this is the piece of fabric you'd need just for the design. What a dummy. What a dummy. But it opens up the possibility of doing this kind of design change that I hope is going to actually turn out to be pretty cool. So the fabric, my original fabric, I actually have the part I cut off here. It is a 32 count. It is sea French latte. Is that country French latte? It's from Stitchville. This is one of the pieces that I got from my friend CJ. So one of my big stumbling blocks is how to seam it so that it's even. What I need to do is seam a piece on here and then seam a piece across the total bottom. I did, and of course with doing this, I have to worry about patterns, stitches on each side of the fabric matching up. I looked at the, the Blackbird Designs Garden Party series has some of their designs within that have 2 pieces of fabric sewn together, but those designs are not ones that go over across the seam. They are 2 separate designs and the fabrics are just sewn together. That's easy. My small that I'm doing for StitchCon involved matching up a pattern along a seam. I did not do all that well of a job. Like the bottom half, once I figured out what I had to do, looks good. The top half is just a little bit apart. So thinking about that, I decided for this, I'm going to go ahead and sew the fabrics together first, and then I'll do the stitching, because I don't want to fuss with that on this big of a piece. Having said that though, I know that one of the issues I have to deal with doing it that way, well, one of them, there's 2 that come to mind. One of them is I have to make sure that the attached fabric is all square, right? That the lines match up. I don't know whether I need to worry about how the warp and the weft are falling in relation to the first piece. I know I'm going to have to worry about when I'm stitching over that line, how to handle the seam, like making sure I'm going to pierce through where the 2 fabrics are together on the bottom to come back up. I know I'm going to have finagling to do there, but I think that will be easier on my brain than trying to sew them together and get the seams to match. Now, so I have part 1 almost done. It's not completely done. Part 1 actually ends here where the first leg of the M is. So it comes down here. You can barely see there's a flower here with white. Let me show you the piece. The first part actually cuts through there. So obviously I have that flower finished already. I'm not going to cut it there. What I've decided, because I don't have to worry about leaving a border on this side, right? I just have to worry about seaming a piece of fabric onto this on this end. I am going to finish the word most, and I'm going to attach the fabric here. So at least up here, I won't have to worry about matching seams. I'll have to worry about it here. There's a large chunk here I don't, and then through the butterfly and the sheep, and down here, there's pieces where I will. So I think that's kind of the clearest area. And then down in the bottom, for the bottom piece that has to come across, I think I'm going to do this first row and then seam across in here. Seam it on there somewhere. I need to know from you guys any tips and tricks you might have for how to seam it so that the lines are all straight in the warp. Don't have to worry, well, I guess I have to worry about the weft coming down to match that bottom piece. But any tips you can give me on how to seam this so it's as straight as possible. I will be doing this on the sewing machine. So yeah. All right, so I have a stack of fabrics here. I have numbers on them, 1 through 8. I'm going to go through them. This is not going to be the easiest thing to hold up because I want to hold up this, and I'll hold up the fabrics next to it. I pulled out fabrics that I think go well with the colors, go well with this. I don't want them to match exactly because I figure if I'm doing this, I may as well make it a little bit fun, right? A little bit different. Now, I had originally pulled out some of my darker fabrics, like the ones that are more like a raw or natural linen, but I decided those were too dark. I felt like that really screamed, she screwed up. So I wanted to look more as like a design element. I tried to pull out fabrics that are the same basic weave. You can see how much you can see through this. This is a more openly woven 32 count. It is not a Zweigart. You can see from the selvage edge there, it does not have the orange stripe on it. I don't know what it is. But I tried to find, a lot of these are Zweigarts that I'm going to show you. So the weave isn't exact. Again, I don't know how much that is going to affect the finished product. But at this point, you know, I figure something's better than nothing. I don't want to just throw this away. I think this is so pretty. So I'm going to make this work. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and show you all. Make notes, because, you know, you're not going to say, oh, I like that one the best when it's just the first one I'm showing you, right? So make notes, and then afterwards we can discuss, and you can leave comments. And, you know, with the premiere, we'll be chatting away in the live chat thing. So, but I want to know at the end what you think is the best, and also taking into consideration all the comments I'm going to make along the way. So, this is the first one. It's kind of a more paler, yellower fabric. To me, this strikes me as a little bit too close, but it is definitely a pale, like more of a yellow than a creamy brown. And of course, remember, I need 2 pieces, so I'll need one for the side and then one to go along the bottom. So that is number 1. That is a Zweigart. Number 2 is one of the pieces I just got from Pat Childress that has this wonderful modeling. It has the same type of selvage edge, so I believe it is the same manufacturer. I don't know what the color name is. So it comes across as a little bit darker, and like I said, it has a lot more modeling than the original. and that is number 2. And all of my little sticky notes are just going to fall off. Number 3, this is a big piece. This is light mocha, 32 count. This is not a Zweigart. It does not have the orange stripe, but it is a really, really nice linen. Now it says it's a 26 by 33 inch cut. So it is, what does that make it, a full yard? So it again is a little bit browner. The light ones to change. I think that's really pretty. The only reason I'm hesitant about this piece is because it is such a nice big cut. Now there's plenty here for multiple projects, but I kind of hate to cut it. But it is, I mean, 26 by 33. If I'm doing a piece that big, I'm probably doing it on even weave. Just because, I don't know, it's going to be something like a Haid, and I'm going to be doing it on even weave over 1. Excuse me. 32 count R&R Reproductions Dark Espresso. This is a small piece. This is number 4. Turn that around so all the tags aren't showing, distracting you. So this is a really pretty contrast to, not a lot, just a light, more of a goldy color to what we have going on here. So that is number 4. The advantage to this is I think this is exactly the size I would need for the side piece. So, number 4. Number 5 is another R&R reproduction. It is sheep straw. So again, a nice contrast to my first piece. It's funny how it changes colors. That's pretty good. And then it changed. This is a good size for coming across the bottom of the 2 pieces. I would be cutting it like this way. It would come across, that way on the horizontal. The next piece is another big piece. This is Mocha Java, 32 count. This is a 17.5 by a 27 inch piece. And this one I really would hate to cut because that piece would be good for like a sampler or something. But look how pretty that looks with that. Again, hard to get the color to stay. That looks about right. So that's a really nice contrast. If I wanted a stronger contrast, I am not sure that I do. That was number 6. Number 7, Belfast Light Sand. So this is very creamy compared to the original. And quite frankly, this strikes me as being a little bit too close in color. Like I said, if I'm going to do this, that's pretty good. If I'm going to do this, I want it to be obvious that, like I said, a design element. But that is number 7. That is a Zweigart. Yeah, Belfast, obviously. Obviously, Jan. And the last piece, oh, this is such a pretty piece. Oh. This is dark copper, 32 count, again a Zweigart. I don't know who the dyer is, doesn't say. Now this is another nice size piece, 17 by 26. So I don't know that I'd want to cut it. But isn't that pretty? Actually, looking at it now, I think the copper kind of clashes a little bit with the pink. It goes well with that basket down there, though. So let me tell you what my favorite combination is. So again, 8, 7, 6, that's the one that was kind of dark. 5, 4, 3, this is the huge piece. 2, this is the one that's really mottled. And 1. So my favorite combination, and I think the one that has the most advantages, and this is going to be a test of my dexterity. The one that I think has most advantages because it's smaller pieces, so I'm not cutting into those big pieces, would be this one, which is the R&R Dark Espresso. And then on the bottom, the R&R, like I said, the R&R Sheep Straw. I'm going to stand up here. So that's kind of what you'd have going on. I am going to flip that around so all the tags aren't showing there to distract you. And of course, the light's getting different now. So that's what we're kind of looking at. Similar, soft, picks up some of the colors, but doesn't overwhelm, isn't too much of a contrast. But let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Of course, we're going to be chatting along here, so let me have it. And as I said, any tips you can give me on best practices for sewing something like this together, because I'm probably going to freak out a little bit, just not knowing it well enough. My plan is, so I have I will be working on this today. I have enough of part 1 still to do, coming down the border here, coming over to filling in most, and the other things down here. I still have all of these little pieces to put in here. So I will be working on part 1, all of that part, all of that today. I still have 2 more days. I have my Vitreous Art vase, and I welcome friends. 2 more days of Stitch Mania. Saturday is my last day. So Sunday, my plan is to get out my sewing machine. It's sitting down there on the floor. Get it up here, get it going. I want to get my little Give Love, Get Love finished. And I did pull out the fabric for it. I'm going to use this on the back. Isn't that pretty? And it's just, one of these fat quarters you get at Joann's. So I'm going to use that on the back. And it's wonderful just having all this stuff right here. I have this silk yarn that I got however long ago from a good yarn. Yay. It is this great, it's recycled silk. It is this great kind of corded, fluffy, all kinds of different colors. So I think I'm going to see how that looks as the cording around it. So I'll sew that on. So anyway, Sunday, I'm going to get out my sewing machine and put that together and sew this fabric onto my Things Unseen sampler. I want to get it done so it's not sitting out there intimidating me, even though, I probably won't work on this again for a little while. I want to get the pieces sewn on so that that major obstacle is taken care of. All right, guys, that is it. I appreciate any advice you can give me, and I appreciate you being here. Remember, give love, get love. I love you. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.